Hi, my name is Andrew Leatherbarrow. Um, I wrote a book all about the Chernobyl disaster, which in Brazil looks like this. Um, I've been told that you were learning about nuclear energy in your mathematics class. A boy named Jose, his father knows me, and so he asked if I would just talk to you about what the Chernobyl disaster was and kind of what its effects were and what it's like today. I'm very bad at explaining things to people. I normally sit and write something and then rewrite it and then rewrite it and then write it again. So I'm very sorry if this is not a good explanation. I'm recording this in my car because my children are very loud and I keep forgetting, and so I've run out to my car. It's a nice day, so here goes. So nuclear energy uh, is made by a reaction called fission, where the atoms that make up everything around us, certain atoms called fissile atoms, can be split, and when they're hit with parts of other atoms, that split makes a lot of energy and heat. And so there are machines called nuclear reactors where they split all of these atoms and make a lot of heat, which is then used to boil water, and then the steam from that water is used to push turbines, which are like windmills inside a machine. And those turbines then make electricity. So the Chernobyl disaster happened when a safety test went wrong, and they pushed too much power into the reactor, which made too much steam, which then pushed its way out of the reactor in an explosion. Now, the explosion was so big that it pushed a lot of the fuel from inside the reactor all over the area where the power station was built. And fuel from inside a nuclear reactor can be very dangerous. It harms any living organism, so a person or an animal or a tree or anything like that. And so they had to evacuate an area eventually of around about 1,000 square miles. Now, within that area, there was a city named Pripyat. So among the evacuees was everyone from this city, and so it's still there today. It's completely abandoned and overgrown, and you can go there. Uh, they have tours, so you can pay to go and walk around the city and see the swimming pool and all the schools and the shops and everything. It's very, very interesting. Now, radiation is not always a bad thing. It's used to sterilize food, and it's used to treat illnesses like cancer. With chemotherapy, uses radiation, but a large amount of it will kill cells in your body, which is how chemotherapy works. They're using radiation to target the bad cells that are making a tumor inside a person and killing it with radiation. Um, the radiation released by the Chernobyl disaster was just incredibly strong, so nobody could go really anywhere near it without getting hurt. And so it took a lot of people a lot of time to clean it up. Um, about 30 to 40 people died within the first month or two from radiation, and then it's believed somewhere between 4,000 and about 10,000 people will likely get cancer and die from it within the next sort of 50 years or so, and already. But today they're still cleaning it up. In 2016, they moved a new archway over the top of the old building at Chernobyl, and it has sealed it off from the environment so they can begin to take the building apart and de-sterilize all of the materials that are inside it, which are still dangerous. They've also built the country's first solar power station there. So they're putting it to good use, and they've built a new facility for taking used nuclear fuel and making it safe, which they're going to be taking fuel from lots of different countries around Europe. And so they're trying their best to make some good out of the bad situation. Also, because they evacuated the whole area around the power station, a lot of animals have come to really do well there. Some species which were extinct in the region for a long, long time have come back, and they're doing well. All the insect life and bird life and the trees have all kind of come back, having at first been hurt by the radiation, and now it's like an environmental paradise. There's a lot of life there, and a lot of scientists are studying how radiation affects all the animals, and all the signs seem to be positive in the long term, which is good. Now, nuclear power has a kind of bad reputation among some people because of the Chernobyl disaster, and because the fuel it uses is very harmful. And it's true that it has caused a lot of damage, but compared to the most common source of power in the world, which is coal, it's much, much better for the environment. So it doesn't produce any harmful emissions. Millions and millions of people around the world have died from lung cancer and various things like that because of all of the junk in the environment that's produced by coal power. And it also produces far more energy than any other comparable source of power. So if you compare it to something like solar power or wind power, they are obviously good for the environment, but they're very weak. Okay, so my son wants me to go back inside because I'm hiding in the car. But the Chernobyl disaster was definitely a very bad incident. It hurt a lot of people and harmed a lot of people, but nuclear power itself is generally very good for the environment. It doesn't make any bad emissions like coal, and it produces a lot of energy in a relatively small space, so it's very efficient. So a lot of environmental groups are starting to support it now to replace old coal power stations and oil power stations and other things like that. So it may be that there are a lot more nuclear power stations in the future. Maybe not. We don't know, because there's a lot of opposition to it from people who are scared with good reason. So we'll have to see. Anyway, it was nice to talk to you. Have a nice day.